welcome to the Jay with Koutas show, man.
Thank you for having me, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is awesome. Appreciate you coming on. You're a
course.
tax expert, which is cool. So let's dive right into it. What
Let's do
what
it.
is a BOI filing? What's this whole thing going on?
So the BOI, it's a new program by the FinCEN, the Federal Investigation. It's a long acronym I always forget. It's because I always have to worry about clients. Oh, am I going to go to jail? Am I going to go to jail? I wouldn't necessarily go to that extent where people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to jail. But it is a serious thing that the government was trying to do or is still trying to do. So it's just so they know that you're not money laundering. You have until the 13th of January to do it.
Which I believe is like today.
Which is today.
Yep.
But the good thing is it's optional. So I believe the last time I checked, Texas is the one that sued the government for doing it, saying they're overboarding it. Why? Like, how can you guys not track that when people file their taxes and so on and so forth? So it's just honestly, what I told my clients, I said, hey, let's fill it out because it's still optional, just in case they come and say, hey, you have to do it. At least it's done, and then you don't get hit with a fee.
And it's free, right? It's free.
It's completely free.
Okay.
If you go to someone, a lot of clients came to us and said, "Hey, can you file our BOI?" I said no.
Because is it that easy to fill out?
One is very easy, and two, on the business end and as a CPA and all of that, for my CPAs that are on staff, I told them, hey, it's too much of a risk because the penalties it's very easy but very sensitive.
Okay.
So every LLC you own, you have to file a BOI.
So like, why would people not want that?
People wouldn't want. It's just more of the reason why some business owners don't do their own taxes because they just don't know how and they get too scared. Yeah. So I think that's what it is. They're like, oh. Well, I mean, they scare people with the penalties the government did, which was a $500 penalty fee daily,
which is crazy.
Which it maxes out at $10,000, and then after $10,000, if you don't fill it out, it's 2 years in prison jail. Which is, to me, I think is a little extreme.
Yeah,
but it's what the government says. So
that's crazy. So the whole point of it is, from the government's perspective, is to reduce money laundering, reduce
crime,
like all of that. So like, what does this do? What information does this give to government so that you actually reduce the crime or actually reduce money laundering?
See, when I filled out for one person, it asked the most simple things. It says, what's your name, your EIN for your business, and what business do you own? That's it. How it does that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I was really confused about that because there's no like extra questions that they ask you. It's just, do you own this business? You kind of just have to say yes. And then you write down the business, write down the EIN, and that's about it.
Yeah, it seems weird. It seems like they're not getting much information, and if they are getting information, they're just tying it to you.
Honestly, it takes 5 minutes to fill out.
Yeah.
With 5 minutes, there's no way that you can give that much information to be like, yeah, I'm not money laundering, or hey, I'm not doing any kind of crime. Is that boy or girl math when you say 5 minutes saves $500 a day? I would say it's girl math.
Girl math.
So it takes about
5 minutes fill out. Yeah.
5 minutes fill out.
You need like a picture of your driver's license, I think.
So you have to
and then like your basic information, not even like social security number.
No,
right?
no, it's not. I believe yes, you do have to fill out the social.
Okay.
But usually it's not that hard. It's license, social, EIN for your business.
And then like email and address, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And it's very simple.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't know why the government would need that information to prevent like money laundering. That's the only thing I'm thinking of is like, what is this information going to actually benefit you, or does it just tie you to this business so that if anything does happen, they just go after the person who owns the business?
Yeah, I think that's what it might be. That it was like, okay, if something's wrong with this business, we're going after this person. But even then, I'm like, well, you could have done that because they have to claim that money on their taxes anyways.
Yeah, right.
And I believe you'll be able to catch money laundering on that end of the accounting end. You'll be able to catch it on that end and just be like, well, this is a little too suspicious. It's not like the IRS does it anyways. So the FinCEN is nothing but, we call it the sister of the IRS. So a lot of CPA firms, a lot of accounting firms now, a lot of financial institutions in general, they're like, we're not filling this out for any of our clients.
Interesting.
It's because it's on the business end. There's some people that will, because they're trying to, obviously it's a business, they're trying to make money. But on our end, we're like, hey, it's not even worth charging these people $250 to even do it because they can do it. And I try to convince all of our clients, hey, do it yourself. It's so easy. Yeah, I'll send you the link, and that's it.
I'm pretty sure it's like $200 or $400 for some services, like on the website.
There was one of my buddies who owns a transit company right here in Wisconsin. He messaged me. He's like, hey, why are they charging me $500? I'm like, huh? I'm like, it should be free. He's like, yeah, the website is charging me $500.
That's ridiculous.
And it was a third-party website, and it was like fincen.org. It should be fincen.gov. So
that's crazy.
So they would have filled out the BOI anyways, but they would have charged them the fee, which I think is don't pay for the fee.
Talk about money laundering. The people that are the third-party service are basically exploiting the system that's trying to protect the money laundering.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous. So fill out your BI. So you suggest to fill it out. It takes 2 seconds. Go do it.
It's so easy that you should have to do it. There's no reason, because if the government does say, hey, you have to fill it out, you still have until that time. Well, it's supposed to be January 13th, and so they were in talks about it in December, and a lot of my clients were like, well, do I fill it out because of this and because Texas is suing them?
So that's the Supreme Court decision, right?
The Supreme Court, yeah, but I think they passed it, or
they passed the fact that it's not required. It's like optional.
It's optional, but I have a feeling that they're gonna be like, nope.
Like next year or something, or in the middle of the year, they're gonna come back to review it again.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. I don't know what information it benefits, but
I've never even, honestly, this is the first year that anybody's ever heard of the FinCEN government. So
maybe they're just trying to make their name known or something.
Exactly.
They're just trying to put their name in there and just slide under the table.
I mean,
like,
10,000. If you do the math, you only get, after the $500 daily fee and it maxes out at 10,000, you got 20 days to do it. So it's just just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just get your BOI done.
Yeah, get it done.
What are the new tax tips or things that have changed in 2025? I know there was a California one.
The California, they're extending the because of the wildfires. The only thing that we've seen is that they're extending the tax filing date.
Okay, for the BOI?
For the BOI.
What about in general? Like what has changed in 2025 for tax codes?
So the tax code by 2029, I think it is 2029, 2020, 2030 or 2031. In those years, the new tax code is actually telling you, hey, we want everybody to switch over to electrical cars.
Interesting.
So they're getting rid of gas. And
only in California, right?
Only in California. Well, once California does it, the whole world starts to follow it.
You think so?
Yeah, it's.
I think they might get rid of that mandate.
I hope so, because I'm a gas kind of guy. Diesel kind
I mean, I'm trying to drive a Porsche around and have that engine
and have
rev,
fun. And then the other thing too is I'm not trying to sit around a charging station for 3 hours as a charge.
Especially if you have an apartment and you don't have like a house with a garage or something where you can actually put your car.
Yeah.
You can't physically charge the car fast enough at a station to where it's like applicable. I said this to my brother because he's got a Tesla. I said, once you can get the gas station stop and the e-charging stop to be the same exact time, that's when you'll be able to replace it, because the thing is a convenience to everybody.
But I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think it's gonna happen either. It's
the
not
petroleum,
physically possible.
No, it's not. And then the gas, the people that own the petroleum and oil industry, they won't do it.
Yeah. I just think that it's not physically possible, like in terms of physics.
To
physically charge a car of that size, a battery of that size, that amount of time.
No.
It's physically not possible.
Yeah, I heard it's a battery like this big.
Yeah, I don't know how from big me to you. It's probably
it's insane. But the government. I mean, not the government. California is trying to. That's why they're giving those tax incentives. I believe it's like $14,000 for a brand new one, $7,000 for a used one.
Okay.
That's the only thing that we've seen. I know right now they were trying to implement other stuff, but it's, we really can't say yes or no to that.
Right. So the one interesting thing that I saw about the electric vehicles in California was, so they gave the tax breaks to all these people and they bought electric cars, and a lot of people did. which is good. Yeah. But then the infrastructure behind electric cars was just not there.
No.
From what I heard. And
no.
They had because don't they already have kind of like blackouts and stuff?
They have not only do they have blackouts, but the power plants that were supposed to be there for all the electrical companies, the main one was Tesla. They left. Yeah. So they all went to Texas because of the taxes.
Taxes.
I mean, you're paying 13. No, Chicago's 13. If you live in Chicago, it's 13% that you're paying.
Income tax, right?
Income tax.
Yep.
In California, I believe it's like 15 to 16%.
And is that per income bracket, or is that just overall?
Overall. Yeah, and that doesn't include your self-employment tax either. Especially right now. So I was in LA, met up with a client, and they're just struggling. The other thing too that got lifted up in LA, in California, is the minimum wage.
Yeah.
So all business owners have to make sure they're updating that. So that means that since people are going to, I think it's $16.50, $16.25 right now. It lifted up by that much within between there. So a lot of people that are working, they're going to be like, well, I'm demanding this much money now. Yeah. So that's the only thing that's really changing in California. Right now,
does California have the tips where it's if you give tips away and you give tips to your employees that the minimum wage is lower?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's the minimum wage for that?
I'm not 100% sure.
Probably around $10, I'm guessing.
It's probably $10, $8.
Illinois it was $7 or $6.
Yeah, Phoenix, I believe it's $2.25,
which is crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're making the money.
You can make
tips, yeah.
If you make a lot of tips. That is. So you got to have really good service.
Exactly.
Which sometimes they bring home $1,000 a week.
They do.
If they're good with it.
I have a couple clients that make a living off of just they'll have their full-time job, and then they'll have their either working at a bar, club as a server, or even at a restaurant. If you take that job and you take the hours off of their really full-time job, their career job, they'll end up making more money in the service.
That's crazy. So we do live in a service world, in my opinion. So.
We do. Everything is service-based now. So everything is fees after fees after fees after fees. So it's service.
Yeah. So do you think that they're actually going to implement the no tax on tips? Do you think that'll get through Congress or anything like that? Because that could be a big helper for a lot of people.
It'll be a huge help, but I don't think so.
You don't think?
No.
Do you think it's not going to get through Congress or the House?
It has to go through the House, then Congress, then the House,
Congress,
right?
then the House, yeah.
I think it'll get past Congress, but it won't get that past the House. House won't sign off on it. Yeah. It's because
it's a lot of income for the government. It's a lot of income for the government.
Too much because everything is service based, and you're talking about a ton of money, and that's a lot of cash flow. And the way I like to tell people is IRS Uncle Sam likes to track his dollar bills.
Oh, yeah.
If there's no tax on that and he's not tracking any of his cash, no, I think that would be a big issue with I don't think it would be an issue with the government. I think it'd be an issue with the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, IRS is not owned by the government. And everybody thinks it is, but it's not.
But it's not.
It's not.
It blows people's minds.
It's not. It's a bunch of private investors that own it, and they want to track their money. Yeah. So they're like, hey, we want to know where our money's going. Yeah. But the only thing is, I hope it passes because it'll help everyone out. But I believe if it doesn't pass, everything will skyrocket in price.
You think so?
Yeah.
But I guess it's not assumed that it will pass now.
No, it's not assumed. I think they're just going to introduce it. The Congress will decide, oh, we like this or we don't like it. I mean, if earlier in the campaigns, the Republican Party said, hey, we're not doing this. Right. We're not going to tax the tips. Then the Democratic Party said, hey, we're not going to do it either. So I think they're both going to be in agreement. Hey, let's not do it.
Yeah, but then once it gets to the House, I feel like it's going to be like, we need the money. Thing.
Yeah, they're going to need it. I mean, especially now with what's going on around the world, they're going to need it. So
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Very interesting, yeah.
Because, I mean, they could toss it into, something else where they throw something that everyone else wants into they always throw a bunch of junk into a bill or whatnot. And they could toss that into something where they'll compromise somewhere else.
Well,
whoever's compromising, I guess it's the people who want the money versus don't want the money.
Exactly.
Because that one's not really like a red or blue thing.
No, it's not a red or blue. And I think what the House will probably do is they'll probably be like, it's up to the state. It's up to the state. They do that. So
similar to Texas's income taxable income.
So it's like Nevada 0% on taxable income. Texas,
I feel like
Florida.
I like that better.
I do like that better. I leave it up to the state.
Yeah.
It's like because a lot of states are just different. You're either red or you're blue. There's not really much in between.
Yeah, there's not like a mix right now.
No, I don't even think there's an independent governor of a state. So it's you're either playing both parties. So
yeah.
like California, I don't think would pass it because they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to redo a lot of the Palisades out there.
Yeah.
It's
that plus a lot of other stuff as well. I
mean,
they're in a very expensive state.
Very.
Just they run like the revenue of California's government runs high.
Oh, it's too high. I mean, taxes is high, and I don't. Have you ever been to LA?
I've been there for like an hour at the airport.
I hate it. I hate it.
It's not fun.
It's too crowded.
Yeah, I feel like it's a walking place.
It is.
You need to walk or like use a bicycle.
Yeah. So when I was
not like a car.
My cousin goes to USC, and we had to go. We were like, and Hollywood should take you 15 minutes to get there from USC campus to Hollywood. And I've never been. It was my first time in LA, and I was like, well, I want to see the stars. And to go, it was about a 5-6 mile radius. It took us 45 minutes in car.
That's crazy.
I'm like, this should take us less than 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, you could almost bike there faster.
Yeah, but then when we got to Hollywood, I was like, oh, no, this is not.
This is not what you thought it was?
No, it's not. It's very not good.
Just industrial and...
It's not even industrial. It's just extreme homeless.
Really?
A lot of homeless. I hate to break it to LA. I love my people in LA, but it's a very dirty city.
Yeah.
It's very people like to say Chicago's dirty, but I think it's cleaner.
I think the reason it's cleaner is because of the alleys.
Yes.
They always have that where it's like New York City versus Chicago. People love Chicago more just because they throw all the dumpsters in the alleys.
Exactly.
And like in New York, it's like you walk past, it's like right next to you.
Yeah.
You can smell the nastiness.
Yeah.
Chicago kind of just hides it behind.
Yeah, I've never been to New York, and I've never had the desire because I grew up here in Chicago, right here. I had a lot of family in Lincoln Park and Southside Chicago, Little Village.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do the big crowds anymore.
Yeah.
But I live in Phoenix now.
Which is kind of lighter.
Phoenix is like, it's lighter, but now all the snowbirds are coming, so it's getting crowded.
Okay, gotcha. So the snowbirds Arizona's one of the spots.
Yeah, and Arizona's definitely a place that has just expanded its population. A lot of people from LA just influxed over there. So as the city got bigger when I moved there, it was nothing but desert. Buildings were not there.
Yeah.
Downtown's very lively now. They're expanding east in Phoenix and
Kinda
LA.
creating like suburbs and stuff.
Creating suburbs, and the cities are eventually supposed to touch by like 2045, they said.
Which cities?
So Phoenix and LA, so in between you're going to find cities. Just little suburbs and cities.
What about the mountains there though?
There's a lot of mountains, but through the highways there is valleys and everything that people
so similar
have.
to like what kind of Colorado has, where
Exactly.
there's plenty of cities actually within those mountains. If you ever driven through them,
Exactly.
It's actually kind of cool to go at night.
Yes.
Especially because when you're driving through, it's just like you just see a bunch of lights everywhere, and it just looks.
That's how it is.
Weird.
That's how it is. That's how it is. Yeah. When you're driving, I drove from LA to Phoenix and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and then you could just see Phoenix along the way, and it's just a bunch of lights up ahead. So it's a beautiful scene, but Phoenix is, I believe, was like top 3 cities that are just getting influxed with a ton of people. A lot of people are moving to Phoenix. A Phoenix, of people.
I feel like Texas is definitely another one.
Texas, Nevada's huge because I think they're number 1 in real estate right now.
Really?
Like they're just in real estate development because they're just building like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, because when you build like crazy, sometimes the housing prices can be exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly.
So if you're looking for somewhere that's not too expensive, cheap, but also like newer.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're looking for. Because if it's like new development out here, you build something new out here, it's the price is through the roof.
Yeah.
Because it's newer than the building next to it, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you have the same thing but 30 years newer. It can't be the same price. So they jack it up like 30, 40 grand, 50 grand.
They're jacking it up in price.
But if it's all development, it's all building new, and they're expanding. And then it's like the house next to you is also brand new. Yeah. So it's like it's got to be the same price. You can't jack it up and leverage that, which is I think is good. Yeah. But I think Austin, Texas is the one that everyone's going to, right?
Austin, Texas. I just actually had one of my a good friend of mine,
Moved
shout
down
out
there?
Eduardo. He just moved down there this week. He worked for Meta. He was working for Meta, like I think that's Facebook, Instagram, and all that.
Yeah.
He was working for Meta, and
Wait, you say Meta or Meta?
Meta.
Meta. Okay,
Meta. Yeah.
I was like,
Meta.
wait.
No, Meta's something
Meta,
different.
yeah.
Meta.
Okay.
He works for Meta, and he just actually moved on last week, Wednesday, down to Austin. Austin is just, when I saw a picture of then and before, it's insane. And he was showing me a picture of where his apartment. He has an apartment downtown, and he showed me a picture, and I was like, "That's Austin, Texas. That looks like New York. Like just a bunch of buildings everywhere."
Yeah.
But that's gonna be the new Silicon Valley.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think because of the income tax, it's going to be.
Income tax, and I mean that's where I think one of the biggest engineering companies, Tesla, right?
Yeah, Tesla
is
is
out
up there.
there.
SpaceX,
Yeah,
obviously
SpaceX,
following
yeah.
because Elon Musk is going to put all the stuff in one spot.
All that's out there. So
I just think the tax incentives, like we were kind of talking about earlier, is so appealing to businesses that it's like, hey, I'm going to pay you 10 grand less than you make right now.
Yeah.
But you have 0% tax. So you take all this home. Like you take all of this minus your state tax or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the local stuff is. That you would need. Oh wait, no, it's federal tax.
It's federal tax that you get taxed on, and then the state is zero. Yeah. So like we take care of baseball players, MLB players, and they love playing in Texas, Florida, Nevada. It's just they're like, we don't get taxed in this state. Yeah. And honestly, we don't have to fly out to that state.
They look at their pay stubs and they're like, I love this.
Those are the states that we honestly don't have to go out and just be like, oh, we have to fill out paperwork.
Yeah.
So
which is nice too.
It's nice.
Less paperwork is always good.
Yeah. So it's nice. And those states are honestly, I think it's so beneficial. If you go to those states, I love those kind of states because they're just, you're making money and you're not struggling as bad as, per se, California. Right. To me, California, I grew up in California as well, in Santa Cruz, in the south of San Francisco, right along the coast. I grew up there every summer with my grandma, and I could say it's one of the most beautiful places in all of the U.S. that I've ever been to. California is probably the most beautiful state. Maybe I'm biased, I'm not sure. But San Diego, Santa Cruz, San Francisco is beautiful. There's Monterey. There's just a lot of beautiful scenery out there. It's just so expensive to live.
Yeah.
I went to the gas station to buy a water. It was almost $6. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like
$6 for just like wasn't Fiji, was it? Or like
no, it was like it was a regular water bottle.
Get some Ice Mountain for $6.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I said, my grandma still lives out there. I'm just like, how do you live out here? Like,
yeah.
Like it's just too expensive, and I guess people have acclimated to it. So it doesn't hit them as hard.
There is pay differentials though, right?
There is. Yeah, they have to pay differentials on that. So unless I believe what I think it's salary, a lot of people are like, oh, 80,000 is a lot of money. Just not in California.
It's not in California.
No.
It's like 100K in California for 80K.
Exactly.
Which is, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's like, okay, you make more money, but then it costs more money. So that was another thing that was weird to me because it was like, okay, if I go to the city of Chicago versus like go working in like Elgin, which is like an hour and some change away, like the salary gap that you could have could be 20 grand.
Yeah,
which is it's just ridiculous.
It is. But you also have to look at the business end. That's where the business, because if we're as a business owner, and you'll find out later on when you start get bigger, which I think you are.
Okay.
You're gonna get bigger and you're going to realize, oh, I can't do some of this work. And then you're going to have to hire employees. And then you realize, oh, like as much as I want to be able to, keep everybody at a well-priced or pay them well, you just realize I have to keep it competitive pay.
Yeah.
But then you realize
value pay essentially.
Right. So I have employees in Florida. They don't get paid as much as they would in, let's say, LA. Right. Just because we have to abide by the laws of that state. So if something is $15 and if we go to Wisconsin, it's $7.25, that's a whole $7 difference.
Yeah.
So we have to calculate that on that end. And, some people it's just the state you live in. And then the business has to realize, oh, well, if we're paying this much to do business here, we have to lift our prices. Then we're able to pay those people that much money.
Which one do you think would be better? Do you think living in working in the city, you don't have to live there.
Yeah.
Say regardless of your living statement, working in the city, making more, getting taxed more, or working outside, getting paid less and taxed less?
I would say working less and getting taxed less.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think the opposite.
I think it depends on your lifestyle. If you can live a good lifestyle, simple, I think you do fine in that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people like, so I'll just say, I'll give you an example. There's, we take care of our most struggling, I don't want to say struggling, but our most
just like financially struggling, yeah.
No, tougher clients to deal with.
Oh, tough clients. Okay.
Are doctors.
Ooh, interesting.
Doctors.
Because they make a lot of money?
They make a lot of money, but they spend it tremendously. There was actually a study, I want to find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
There was actually a study that had said who has more assets and wealth and just more money on hand. And they compared it to teachers and to doctors. Teachers have more money on standby.
They're going to win all day
than doctors do, because of the reason that doctors make so much money they don't think they have to financially plan or be on a financial budget, while teachers make,
they have some of the most discipline in the world.
Yeah.
Next to like military.
That and they have to budget because they
plan everything every day. So.
Exactly. So like you have to. They only get paid $40,000. I think the highest I've seen is $60,000, and that's if you get into a good school. But some teacher salaries are $30,000, and that's what they live off for the whole year.
Yeah.
And then they obviously get paid a stipend during summertime when school's off, but it's not enough to. So they have to really, really budget.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they don't have any side hustles, and it's 100% teaching. Those are easier clients to deal with. We put the financial sheet together.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you have to do to keep everything low. And then at the end, they always have more money to invest. And then when it comes to doctors, I think I like to say it's because they've been in school so long, they never had that much money. So coming out of school, you're in major debt from being a doctor. And then when you finally get to be a doctor, you're making $400,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year. And so they're just spending it. They're just
They're like, oh, I got the income. Like, it's not a big worry.
Exactly.
Even if they go tackle that debt, which is probably like $500,000, $600,000, they probably don't even care. And they're just like,
but they struggle to. A lot of them do get in a ton of debt.
Yeah.
Because they're buying the nicest cars. They're buying the penthouse suite. They're buying.
Which they shouldn't. I think only the lawyers should do that.
The
lawyers need to have the image behind the money making.
Yeah.
Where the doctors, dude, if you're pulling up in a Corolla, like, it doesn't matter.
No. It's like I'm in the hospital. I don't really care what kind of car you drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Cure me, right?
Yeah.
So they're a struggle to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
I love them all, but it's just they're a little tougher for us to get them to listen.
So you're a certified financial pro, CFP?
CPA.
CPA.
So no, my whole staff is.
Okay.
So, I how do I say it? I'm wrapping that up now. I took all the tests already. I just have to finish the 150 college credits. So I'm actually on my last semester of college. I did it very, very slowly because of the fact that I wanted to grow the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, as the business grew, I was like, okay, maybe I'll take one class here, because it's just to do school, open a business or start a business, and just kind of just do everything. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
And I did both full time, and I made my decision in 2021. I said, hey, I sat myself down. And I was like, well, do I want to go to school or do I want to make money and start a business and start the business already? And I decided to do the business, but I had I grew the business, and then all my employees have stuck with me since day one. They've been doing taxes with me since day one.
That's
and now they're employees. Now they're all certified. Okay. I said, go to school. You can do taxes. That's fine. Make your little bit of income. But go to school, finish, and take the CPA. All of them did it. And so now there's like, okay, hey, now we're doing it vice versa. Mm-hmm. You guys take care of the business because we got it to where we needed to. I got it to where it needed to be. It's self-sufficient running. I don't need to do anything, and I'll go finish school, get my CPA, and we're done.
That's sweet. So you leveraged their schooling and kind of gave them income while they did it, so that they could set themselves up for success. And
yes.
Now you're right behind them, kind of
right behind them. Yeah. So it's like I'm ahead in information, but they're ahead in the licensing. So they look to me, be like, okay, what does this say, or how do I do this?
Uh-huh.
But then I'm like, well, hey, you should sign off on that. But now that the business is actually expanding, I rarely find myself doing any of that work anymore.
Yeah, which is good.
So it's a good thing. Like, I don't really take care of bookkeeping anymore for our clients. I have a whole accounting staff, and that's our entry level people that we hire. When it comes to taxes and auditing, those are the CPAs, and we do have about 2 CFAs, so financial advisors, and those are for our really, really higher end clients.
Yeah, so like higher net worth, or what would you consider like a high net worth higher client, like above 150,
650,
650. Okay, yeah, so like almost pushing a mil.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's because that's when you just have the insane, like for example, the baseball players or athletes in general. That's when they're like, I don't know what to do with this money. I'm making this. And so we have some minor league players that make insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And like, I just, that's how much you make in the minors. And they're like, yeah,
especially for baseball, it's like
baseball, like I'm
the minors is basically any professional in any other country other than like
100%,
other than like the Puerto Rico and stuff like that. Like,
exactly. And so when I looked at it, I'm like, that's minors. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, some NBA players in the G League aren't even making it. Like,
you'd be surprised some NBA players probably aren't even making that.
Yeah. So it's a surprise, but with those guys, those are the ones we use the CFAs for, because they need the financial planning, because the one thing about sports, it's not guaranteed.
And it's also like limited time. So it's like your body is your job. So
exactly.
It's like if once your body goes, your job goes at the same time, and that could end at any point.
Exactly. So
especially in like the minor leagues, if you get like one bad like ACL injury, for instance, like you could be finishing your contract out, and they could be like, well, we're gonna sign a new younger guy because like maybe you can come back, maybe you can't, we don't know.
Exactly. Like I know in baseball, Tommy John is one of the big, is like the ACLs over there. Tommy John is in that industry, it's no joke. They're like, well, our contracts get lower if we do get Tommy Johns and incentives, and there's a lot of things that go into that. So it's really cool tapping into that world of, and me, I love sports. So to be able to take care, that's where I find myself in my own business doing, taking care of the sports department more, because it's just more relatable. So I
feel like a lot of those guys, because I just had my buddy Tony on, we talked about, I don't know if you watched that or not.
Yeah.
But about NIL deals and kind of how that works with sports. And I suggested to him, I was like, dude, they should almost, for every NIL deal that's at a certain amount of value, like they should almost assign someone at the university to help support these young athletes, these young guys that are just, okay, I just got $1.5 million deal for NIL. What do I do with this money? Yeah. It's like, this kid's not gonna know.
He's not gonna know.
He's gonna buy a Hellcat. He's gonna get a nice apartment, and then he's gonna be like, what do I do with the rest of this money? I have no idea what to do.
There's just, and I always have mixed feelings, especially working with the NCAA for a short period of time. I always felt iffy about the NIL and paying players because of the fact that it costs so much just to keep these players healthy, strong, and just everything that goes into the sport. It's very expensive on the back end of the financial part of like college sports. But then again, I'm like, well, they do get exploited. So it's a 50-50, but these
the craziest
guys do
part
need
about
it.
the NIL that I talked with Tony with is that NIL started and came about because like athletes in NCAA couldn't get internships because they couldn't get paid money.
Yes, that was the thing.
That's how it started.
Yes, and then they were able to work, but they were not able to work off campus.
Yeah,
so they had to work in campus, and then you're getting paid minimum wage, and you can only, I think, in college, will only work 20 or 25 hours. 20 hours a week. And you couldn't, so it's just, you couldn't make a living off of it. And obviously going to college, I mean,
it's expensive.
We're broke.
Yeah. Like if you don't have a scholarship, it's expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. I mean, you got to eat every day, dorm. If you, God forbid you're in a dorm, it's just insanely expensive. Yeah.
So I do think that the sport industry has a lot of wealth to it. But like the people in the sports industry aren't sitting there like watching financial videos, like going into sports and the NFL or NBA or whatever, and being like, yeah, like I can't wait to invest in my 401k.
Yeah, no. I mean, the 401ks they look nice, so
they probably do look nice. They're probably insane. But they don't go into that thinking that they go in thinking I'm gonna go win this sport. But do you think they should have a professional like that?
I think NILs, and that's where that comes. So what the one thing that I'm learning in that industry of sports, obviously, like working in the NCAA was completely different. At my school, it was completely different. Now when you work in the professional field, you don't have that support and you're just kind of on your own. The person that's supposed to help them find that is the agent. If the agent doesn't have that person's out of luck.
Oh, interesting.
So the one thing that I'm learning is that these players or any type of athlete, if you're going to go pro, find a good agent that has connections in those fields.
Yeah.
I learned that not the hard way, but I learned that just head on earlier last year in July. Since we started working with baseball players, I wanted to tap into the NBA realm. It's a lot different. It's very different. Mm-hmm. One's more old school, the other one's newer generation. And but when I went, I went into Las Vegas in July for the summer league, and I tried to access the players by going into the casino, trying to find them, trying to talk to them, start a conversation. I actually met Grayson Allen at Caesar's Palace.
Nice, there you go.
So I met him there, but you talk to those athletes, and they'll be like, "Hey, let me take care of this, or let me do this for you, or let's go get lunch." Everyone will knock you down. Each athlete will tell you, "No, I won't do it." Well, I'll be like, "Oh, well, why not?" They're like, "Well, one, I don't know how to do it, and two, talk to my agent."
Yeah.
So that's the person you need to talk to, is the agent. If you can create a good relationship with the agent, then you'll have a whole pool of athletes. So the way I learned is after I met Grayson Allen at Caesar's Palace and he told me to speak to the agent, a light bulb just clicked and I was like, okay, so I'll just go. There's not really many fans at the NBA Summer League anyways. Yeah. It's all agents. It's all agents.
Okay.
So I went and I just started networking with the agents. And that's how I closed a couple of NBA players, because you just make that relationship. And that's why I'm traveling, is because some agents live out here in Chicago. Some agents live out there in LA. Some agents live in Texas. They're all over the place. And so you kind of have to cater to them and just be like, hey, okay, let's meet up. Once you get that good foundation, they'll send you everyone.
Yeah.
And so that's how that happened.
Yeah. And so you set them up for success. You're going to be like, listen, this is going to be the money that you're going to be making. This is going to be the wealth you're generating based off of literally like 50 years of history of
exactly
like all of the S&P. It's like, unless the world comes to collapse, this is this is the range you're going to look at for your financial goals.
Yep.
And you know, when you're 65 years old, you're still going to be making like 200, 300, 400K a year, no matter what, on the low end. Yeah. And then they're like, how do I do that? And they're like, well, we'll do it for you. And then they're like, oh, perfect.
Yeah. A lot of those athletes, when you meet them, especially like when I was in college and working, like I said, with the NCAA, you realize they don't know how to do it. They're just they're just average people. They're really good. You like when you look at an athlete,
really good at whatever they do.
Exactly. You look at an athlete, you're like, oh, you think they know what they do. Like you think like they know everything because they're so good at that part. But in reality, they don't know.
They don't know. They don't even know movies sometimes.
Exactly.
Like you'll ask them about a movie and they're like,
I don't know what that is.
No, I don't really watch movies. And you're like, what? And they're like, I just play basketball. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. Why you're an NBA player now.
Exactly. So you realize, they're just normal people that make insane amount of money and really good at what they do. Yeah. So I think it's a beautiful industry where I work, and I look at it every day. I'm like, oh, I'm thankful for it, and it's just like, oh, it's awesome. Like it's what I wanted to do. As a kid, I always wanted to be an agent. I'm like, I want to be an agent. When I tried to do it, it's a lot harder because you really have to start at a young age for these people. Yeah. I think you have to, like one agent that I know, he had his client since he was in like a freshman year of high school. And you're banking on that kid to just be able to, okay, hey, you're going to exceed here, and we'll take care of you. Yeah. But on my end, it's like, nope, they're already there. I'm good. I don't want to do that. And I didn't like that industry, honestly. It's a very cutthroat industry.
Yeah, because like if you don't make it, it's like the kid's looking at you like, hey, why didn't I make it? And then it's like,
it's a very cutthroat.
Well, I can't tell you why you didn't make it. Like the agent said, like the person that was going to hire us said no. Yeah. It picked somebody else. So I don't know what to tell you.
It's a very tough industry. Yeah. It's a very cutthroat industry. And if the player doesn't succeed, the agent won't succeed either. So it's pretty much if the player doesn't get paid, the agent won't get paid either. So if you're not doing good, the agent could just be like, I don't want you no more. I'm done with you. Like,
and just drop you off.
I think that's where the sad part about that industry is, because at the end of the day, sports is nothing but a business. It's a business, and I guess you have to make executive decisions like that.
Yeah, which is good and bad for some places, but you can't accept everybody,
Exactly.
There's only a certain amount of people on the roster, a certain amount of people on the court or
field. Certain amount of money to go around, and
which is interesting. So what would you say is, so this is pretty cool. I mean, I didn't even know that you were working with such high-class clients, which is pretty cool. So what would you say is the most fun part about the people that you work with that have like that ultra high net worth or super high net worth?
It's when you can actually produce the results for them. I think that's the coolest part. When you can actually produce what you say you are going to do. Mm-hmm. For example, we have a client that a lot of baseball players are on W-2s, right?
Right.
And they pay taxes in every state that play in, except the good states like the no income tax, right?
Yeah, like
Texas. So they look at, hey, like, okay, nine times out of 10 they rarely owe any taxes because they're not tax withheld. The organization does that for them, so that way they don't owe an insane amount of money at the end of the year. There are some that do, but it's not too often. But they say, hey, I want to start a business. And then when you start the first year of business, you're just like, why do I owe this money? Well, let's do this. Let's tax plan. Let's actually do these tax strategies. Let's do this backdoor IRA. Let's invest here. Let's put $100,000 that you have in liquid assets. Let's just throw it into a money mutual fund or a money market fund, and just collect a dividend off of that, and you can live off of that. We actually had a client that just threw off $300,000 into a mutual fund / money market account, and he's just making, every quarter he makes about like $20,000, and he's living off of it. So it's just like, where else are you going to be able to do that, right?
Right.
So it's actually being able to produce the results for them. I think that's the best part of my job. It's actually be like, trust me, because the hardest thing is I'm only 27, and a lot of people are like, how old are you? How long have you been in the industry? It was really, I started the business at 23. Mm-hmm. And to be able to gain somebody's trust, but I've always been into finances since I was like 16.
Yeah.
I worked 3 jobs, and every check that I got, I invested a ton of money into Bitcoin, into finance, into like a money mutual account, high yield savings account. I did that to be able to make more money. And I learned it by reading books and all that type of stuff, and watching YouTube. YouTube University will take you so far.
Oh yeah, YouTube University.
University is awesome.
Untapped knowledge, man.
It is. You'll find anything on YouTube, but it's actually producing the results. And then they realize, oh, how did you know that so young? And I was like, well, it's just basic information, honestly. And research, investing, taxes. Anything about money or finances, econ, it's simple information. It's not too hard. Mm-hmm. It gets complicated when you want to make it complicated, but it's not hard. And it's sad that the school systems don't teach you that.
Yeah, they don't really. Even my personal finance class wasn't even taught like investing. Mm-mm. They did some of it. They did like the fake investor. They gave you like fake money, and they were like, this is it's basically a program that's like the stock market, but it's like they give you fake money to put in there, and they dump the information of the stock market into it to be like, what would you have had if you invested in these companies or whatever.
Exactly.
So they kind of did that, but they never really told you like, hey, like if you start saving now, like $50 a day, you could be like a multimillionaire by the time you're 60 years old, like multimillionaire.
Exactly. I've been working with the high net worth clients, not just the baseball players, but business owners. Mm-hmm. The business owners where it's really fun. I think.
Do they dump a lot in there? They're like invest.
Yeah, it's like, to me, I love when people throw money into the market or into some type of investment. I'm like, just develop your assets, please. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have, most business owners don't have a retirement account. They don't. And Social Security's planned to run out by, I think, like 2040, something like that. So for our generation, especially as business owners, we're like, oh, well, where are we going to put our money? Because, I mean, Social Security is going to run out. Mm-hmm. So they say, what do we do with it? And it's just, I think it's just assets after assets. All the richest people that I know, like one of a good book to read if you're starting off, and a lawyer who spoke to me, she owns a business as well. She's a lawyer. She's one of my clients, and she's like, I really wish I read this book early on when I started. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a very famous book. Mm-hmm. Read it, and it'll tell you debt is good, not all debt is bad.
But debt can be bad.
Consumer debt. I always tell people consumer debt. But if
like
you get
cars, for instance, is one of the things you
terrible.
Gotta get away from.
Exactly.
But there's also like the business owner debt where it's like
it's really good.
Buy the Maybach or whatever it is, or the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Like where it's like over a certain amount of weight or whatever
6,000,
for the business. 6,000 pounds for the business.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they made it like 6,020 pounds or something like that.
Yeah,
like
they did. Yeah. It's that the G-Wagon.
The G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Just so that it's tax deductible, but like. Yeah, the consumer debt is a big problem in people's finances, and I feel like they're like, oh, debt is good. They hear the wrong message behind it, and then they turn that into like, oh, hey, now I'm just like in all this debt with a 30% APR. Yeah. What am I gonna do?
Well, yeah, I tell people all the time, you have to think like the bank. Mm-hmm. When you do a business, because a lot of people, everyone always wants to be a business owner. Or you ask the most common question, hey. If you ask a teenager, what do you want to be when you grow up? A lot of them will say, I want to be rich. Mm-hmm. And then you ask them, well, how are you going to do that? They don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't know. So I tell people, it's like you have to think like the bank. So the way I started my business, I opened up my LLC, got my credit line, and I used my credit cards. I maxed them out. I think I had almost 100,000 in credit cards at one point. But I invested that money, and you have to think like the bank. You have to borrow the money to make the money. Mm-hmm. So when I used my credit cards, I leveraged them. But I bought the laptops, I bought the software, I bought the VPNs, I bought everything I needed to do. I got my licenses that I needed to do for taxes and all that. Get the business, something called an EFIN number that we have to get approved by the IRS as a business.
But this is all underneath your
business.
LLC.
Exactly.
Business. Yeah.
Right. And so I borrowed the money from my own my business credit card from the bank, because you got to think like the bank. Well, how does the bank make money? And then, well, they use your money.
Yeah, but so the biggest difference in my opinion in that scenario is like that is your LLC's business.
Exactly.
Right. So it's not your personal finance where you are personally financing all of that.
No.
You are just leveraging the business's LLC money.
Exactly.
Which is different because people sometimes combine those, max out their credit cards, $100,000 in consumer debt, and then they lose their home.
Well, that's what I did. Exactly. Well, that's what I did. And good thing I didn't have a house or any type of assets. I was like, well, I'm going to bang on me starting my business. So I used my personal credit cards and used the business credit cards because I was like, well, this maxed out. Let me use the other one. But as slowly as I started making, and the good thing was I had 0% APR for 14 months on all the credit cards. So I was like, okay, cool. I got 14 months to pay this back. Mm-hmm. So I dedicated a whole year I bought everything, marketing. I need to do what I need to do. And that's when you actually have to hustle. And now that I was able to do that within the last 4 years, I was able to pay off a lot of those credit cards.
Yeah,
and so good. Now it's just all generating money now. Mm-hmm. So I tell people all the time, it's like a debit card. Who like you take away the I from a debit card. What does it say? It says debt. Well, who's in debt? The bank is in debt to you.
Right.
And so that's why they always want, that's their credit line is your money. So we have to, I think people, when they're starting a business, they have to use their credit line to start a business. So
I think it's better to do the LLC.
It is 100%. Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of people won't qualify for an LLC credit card.
Yeah.
A lot of people won't. I always see videos, just open an LLC, get your EIN, open a DUNS number, and get a credit card line for $50,000, and boom, you have $50,000 to start your business. Mm-hmm. They don't tell you the actual details on that.
So how would you be able to get that then? Because I feel like that has to be the better route.
It is, but a lot of people don't have good credit.
Yeah.
So if you don't have good credit, you won't be able to get a business credit card.
But the most thing is, like, if you don't have good credit, you probably shouldn't be starting the business in the first place if you don't really have the money.
100%. I agree. But a lot of people, that's the thing. Some people are like, well, I have bad business credit. And what majority of the time is what I've seen in my experiences, especially people that are younger, under the age of 18, it's not because it was their fault. It's because it was their parents' fault, adding them on the credit line, and they weren't able to pay that off.
Yeah, interesting.
And so the kid was like, well, why do I have bad credit? Why is my credit score at 620? I don't even have a credit card, to their knowledge, but their parents added them to the credit line. And some people, and honestly, some people forget to pay something overtime. And it's usually those like Macy credit cards, Best Buy credit cards, IKEA credit cards.
Yeah.
That they forget to make a $20 payment that will actually really like inflict a big credit decrease. So a lot of those, that's what we see very common. But if there's a person starting at 18 and you get a credit card, you can easily get a credit card for at least a $3,000 credit line.
Yeah.
And then boom, you could start it. But it just, again, I think it depends on the person, because not everyone, I always tell people, not everyone is meant to be a business owner. It's probably one of the hardest things to do.
And also, it's a lot better to pay in cash.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Like
yes.
If you can delay it like that extra amount of months and just be like, okay, what can I do to put myself in this position to be like, okay, I need this $10,000, and it's like, okay, let's get $10,000. And it's like, how long is that going to take? Well, in one summer, I make $10,000 by selling trash cans door to door. And it's like, okay, go do that and go do double. Go to different neighborhoods. Go like, because you're not necessarily like just getting the money to sell the business. You're learning business practices by building the capital to buy what you need for the business.
Yeah.
Now, there's plenty of businesses out there that need a lot more capital than that. But that's where you kind of have to leverage that, like credit build up and business build up, etc.
There's a client of mine that actually, he already had a truck. He put a big tank on it. I think it costed him like $1,000. It's out here in Phoenix, a buddy of mine. Mm-hmm. He makes a killing now. What he does is washes trash bins. Trash bins. He got people. He just on average, an area code has over 50,000 houses. I told him, if you even get 1% of those houses paying you $30 a month on a fee, you're making $200,000 a month. It's insane. And he actually did it. And now he's just rolling in cash, and it takes him 5 minutes, and it's very, very cost effective. It's not a lot of money to start.
But it also is like, not everybody does that.
No.
And that service is definitely like needed for some people that like, don't want to do that.
Exactly. I mean,
if you don't want to clean your trash can, you just pay a guy $30. You're like, here.
He was telling me, he's like, I don't care how clean you are. I don't care how good your grass looks. Everybody's trash stinks.
Yeah.
And nobody likes that smell. So what he did, he's like, oh, well, I go around washing them for $20, or if you want to hop on our service membership, we'll pay it's $30 a month, and we'll steam it for you. He added the steam. And so it's shiny. Value. And so and I'm like, well, how long does it take you to clean one trash can? He's like, 10 minutes. And he moves on to the next house. And then boom, boom, boom. If you can just knock out that, there's so many business ideas that people do not think that are not cost effective. That doesn't cost a lot of money to do. Mm-hmm. Just have a water tank, a water pressure, and you're good. And soap, honestly, that's all you're good. And he steams it. It looks nice. He actually did my trash one time, and I was like,
was it worth it? Is it worth 30? It's worth the 30?
Well, I mean, being an accountant, I'm like, no, it's not worth 30, but I gotta show my support. But it's it's businesses support other businesses for sure. So he's a client of mine, but it's more of a service for like in Scottsdale, Arizona, that area, like the Maricopa County.
Yeah, very
Phoenix.
nice neighborhood.
It's a very uppy neighborhood, beautiful neighborhood. Nothing but golf, retirement, famous basketball players. Everybody goes to Scottsdale.
Yeah.
That's where he did the area code and started passing out flyers. And it's all old people, honestly. It's a retirement state.
And they just don't want to do it.
I mean, they can't. They can't,
they don't
or they don't want to.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I got a lot of money that I just need to blow. Like, well, $30 a month is nothing just to wash my trash bin. So, yeah.
And steamed.
And steamed. Steamed. When I heard that, I'm like, you're steaming that? He's like, yeah, it's so easy. Just stick the steamer in there and it shines. Some people like their trash shiny. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need this steam. But let me see what it is. So it was it's a very good business idea out there. So I tell people, if you can come up with something like that that's new, innovative, people will do it. Yeah. And not that many people.
It's not even that like new. It's just you are going to give someone a service and you're doing it for, a cheap price, and it's like super cost effective.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
So I tell people it's so easy to start a business, and it's not that hard.
And you got to solve a problem. And everyone's got different problems, specifically like Scottsdale. They don't need people like me. I could clean my garbage can. And I would look at you and be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not. Why would I pay you $30?
Exactly.
But then people in Scottsdale, Arizona, who are like 85 years old and are like, I don't want to clean that. Sure.
Yeah, $30. Here you go. And most of those old retirement people, they have a lot of money. Well, in Scottsdale at least.
Yeah,
Scottsdale,
sure.
Paradise Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the nice uppy neighborhoods for sure. But it's phenomenal. I tell people
business
it's not
is awesome.
Yeah, I tell people all the time it's not too hard to start a business. You just have to know what you want to do. But not everybody, I tell people at the same time, not everybody's meant for it.
Yeah.
Just because you have 50, the one common thing that I've seen is people have a lot of money in reserves, like 50,000, and they think they have 50,000 to spend.
Yeah.
Like, no. Put yourself on a payroll. We'll make a budget. That way, either way, you pay yourself. You get a business deduction off of that anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You pay a little bit of taxes, and then you claim it all back on the business end. Do that. Just pay your monthly bills, have a little bit of money just to go out. Sure.
Because you never know when it could be a dry season, when like a pandemic could hit or something. Or anything could hit.
I've noticed every industry, no matter what it is, has a dry season. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is. Construction, sports, accounting, finance, dealerships, anything, you name it, has a season, has a dry season. Then there's a season where it picks right back up.
Yeah.
So I always tell people you need to reserve it for that type of season, just in case nothing comes in.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's wrap it up with one last topic. What is the best thing for an average day person to take the most tax advantages across their board financially? What can they do so they can pay the least amount of taxes? How do you pay the least amount of taxes?
Well, you pay the least amount. So what I tell people is when you get a return, everybody always wants a big return. Mm-hmm. Well, all a return is what you overpaid in taxes. The trick that I did to be able to invest more money, and I found this out, oh God, I wish I remember the book that I read, was I went tax exempt on my W-2 job. Mm. With the money that I was not paying in taxes, I calculated it on my end and took that money and put it into an investment. So, for example, an IRA. I think the average person should take advantage of the IRA because you're able to deduct that from a traditional IRA. So I would throw that $7,000. At my time, it was like $6,200, I think, $6,500 when I was growing up. And it was I was able to deduct $6,500 off my taxes. So therefore, when I did my taxes, it would either be at zero or I'd get a small return.
Yeah.
I think
so. You'd basically you'd get paid more money per paycheck, is what you're saying.
Yep.
And less taken out for taxes, so you can invest into a traditional IRA.
Yes.
So that at the end of the year, instead of investing the lesser paycheck into an IRA, getting more money back from taxes, you instead just invested it over the years and just got yourself closer to that.
Exactly.
That zero mark or whatever.
Exactly. And the one business tip I'll tell people is, as a business owner, if you're able to put yourself on a payroll and pay yourself something called a SEP IRA, you're able to deduct, I think you can max it out at $58,000 a year, but you're able to deduct 25% of your salary. So let's say you have a salary of $100,000, you're able to put away $58,000, but 25% of the $100,000, which is $25,000, you're able to deduct from your taxes.
So if I made full-time job, I made $25K. Mm-hmm. And then I made $100K through my own business. I don't know why you're still working that job, but let's just say. So you can deduct the taxes off that whole thing and basically keep all the $25K then?
Pretty much, because it's into the SEP IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tax loopholes. I always tell people, you own a business, you know how they say pay yourself first? Yeah. No, I don't like that. Because people think it's take this pocket, your business pocket, put it into the personal pocket. That's not how it is. Mm-hmm. They don't go into detail about that. They say, hey, yeah, take it out of here, but make sure you pay a little bit of taxes in the middle of that and give yourself a W-2. That way, on the business end, you're able to deduct the salary that you paid yourself, claim back the taxes that you paid. And then if you did set up your taxes right on your W-2, you're supposed to be getting money back.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's a big tax loophole. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, if you're able to do it right and actually strategically do it right and you have the right people to do it for you, you should never owe anything. So I have clients that the biggest people that take advantage of the most tax code are real estate clients.
Yeah, because they can do tax depreciation
exactly
on their
so what
assets.
I had originally planned when I was doing the whole strategy of having a bigger check, putting it into the IRA, was save up the IRA to be able to use that money to put it as a down payment on my next asset, which was going to be a home. But then the prices of houses just skyrocketed. So I was like, I'm good there.
Yeah.
So that was my plan, is just take an asset to another asset, use this asset to create cash flow on a bigger scale. And on the IRA end, it was, creating cash flow, but not a crazy amount. It was dividends. It was not a lot. So, but the good thing is I was able, if I would have done it, I would have able to take the IRA, transfer the money to put it as a down payment on a house, create a rental income there or whatever I would have done there. And none of it would have been taxed. So whatever I had saved here goes here. None of it's taxed. Now, if I just took it out, liquidated it, and then bought the house, I would have been taxed.
Yeah, because the early.
So I always tell people, if you can get on, the best way to not get taxed or not owe a lot of money on taxes is asset to asset to asset to asset.
Yeah, and never. It's kind of like rolling over a 401k.
Exactly.
It's like you get the check and you sit there with it in your hand and you're like, hey, this is the 40K of investments I have. It's like, that is not 40K.
No.
That is not, take that, put it into like your IRA, roll it over into like an investment account, or roll it into something else.
Yeah.
It's where it can grow again, because like if you take it out early, it'd be a penalty. You get, I think you have to pay taxes on growth if it's a traditional. But if it's say it's Roth, so you don't have any taxes on it. If you take it out, it's still like a 30% or some 25% penalty for the early.
Yeah, for the early withdrawal. Yeah. But the good thing is the banks, when you do buy a house, majority of them, the mortgage lenders will be like, okay, we'll take that, just roll it over to another asset, which is the house. Yeah. So that's what all real estate clients do. Actually, they put their money into a money mutual market or something and just be like, well, roll it over. It's just roll it over.
And is that not the 401k though? It's different, so it'd be separate.
So even myself, I get confused with 401ks and IRAs because they always attach the name together.
Yeah, but they're separate.
They're separate. 401k is just something different, and then the IRA is just the individual. So 401k, I believe it's the employer is able to put money into it. The IRA, it's on you.
Yeah, individual retirement account.
Yeah. So and there's 3 types of retirement accounts. There's a SEP IRA, traditional IRA, and Roth IRA. Roth IRA is pre-taxed, so by the time you withdraw it, by the time whatever the age is, I think it's like 65.
2.5 maybe?
Yeah, so I think something like that. Yeah. It's tax-free, but you pay taxes.
You pay taxes when you invested in it.
Exactly.
But the growth is tax-free, and it's in tax-free accounts when you pull it out. That value is your money.
Exactly. And then the traditional IRA is the opposite of that. And then SEP IRA is just mainly put more money away for your business. That's what it is. Because majority of business owners, I notice, don't retire. They don't have a retirement account. They're like, I'm making money off of my cash flows. So so just one more story. I have a client that owns, I think, 72 rental properties.
That's a lot. Wow.
And I looked at his asset portfolio. I'm like, you're worth this much. Like, this is how much you're worth. This is your net worth. Yeah. But on his, he makes a really good off of rentals. And all the houses are paid off because he fixes, flips them, puts somebody in there. He does something called the BRRRR method. Okay. People should look it up. It's honestly a good strategy. Buy, rebuild, refinance, rent. So it's a pretty good strategy. But he just buys... but since he was fixing and flipping for so long, he didn't need to refinance anymore. So he just found a renter. All the houses are paid off. He makes a killing. And he's like, I try to put him like, hey, we need to tax strategize, because the one thing, he was owing a crap ton of money.
In taxes?
In taxes. Yeah. I'm like, dude, he's like, why do I owe so much money? I'm like, well, look, like, you're making this amount.
This is what you're making.
Yeah. You're getting taxed on what you're making. You're not doing anything with it besides your rentals. Like, you're fixing, flipping. Yeah. We're able to do that, but that could only take you so far. Because once you do it, you can't really write anything off because you're not doing any major repairs on that home for that year. Yeah. So over the years, it starts stacking up where you're like, okay, now I have, after a course of 10 years, I have 10 houses. After those 10 years, I pay taxes on all those houses on the rental income. Because there's not many deductions you can take. So I try to tell him, like, put into an IRA. No, I don't want to put into a retirement account because all my houses, all my properties are my retirement account. I'm like, no. Like, don't think of it that way. Just use it as an asset where we're able to put money away as an asset, quote unquote, to the IRS asset where it's investing. And then when you're ready to make another purchase on a house and do the fix and flip again, we can just roll it over.
Into that house.
And he didn't know that. And he was like, oh, okay, maybe we should do that then.
Yeah, because then it also reduces your taxes.
Well, this guy was only like $350,000 in taxes. And he was like, I don't want to owe that much. I mean, I have it, but I don't want to owe that much. I'm like, well, either do what I'm telling you or
you're going to owe that much.
So we did a tax calculation. And he doesn't run a payroll. He doesn't do any of that. And the hardest thing is getting the old school people to do it because they think they know it. And I'm just like, you're really good at real estate. I will never knock you. And if I ever have any questions, I will do real estate and ask you questions. But this is my field, so just do it this way, and you'll realize you're going to owe way less in taxes. Well, he's like, well, how much am I going to owe? We were actually able to get that $300,000 bill to $10,000.
That's crazy.
And he was like, I'm like, are you cool with paying $10,000? He's like, yeah. Here's my check. Take it. And I don't care about paying $10,000. I make that on a month. And he's like, so I just say you have to do it certain ways, right? Yeah. It's monopoly. You have to pay. Some houses are better.
Yeah.
Some houses are better to turn into the hotel as opposed to just keeping them houses.
Yeah.
So I tell them the same thing. You're better off putting your money here. At least we have it on reserve, and you don't have to give it to the IRS. So I tell people all the time.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for coming on.
Of course. It was a pleasure.
Awesome.
It was a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Very nice meeting you. Shout out James.
Shout out James. He's our CMO.
Right. So that's awesome. So pleasure. Thank you for having me. And hopefully I can fly you guys down to Phoenix and you come on my podcast.
Oh, I'm down, dude.
Yeah, and we can go golfing out there.
Oh, I know James is down for that. So.
Oh yeah, James, and he's pretty close. He's not too far.
Yeah, he's not too far. He won't be bad. But give yourself a self shout out here so we can follow you in your platforms.
So if you guys want to give me a follow, if you guys have any tax questions or anything, all my platforms are ChavvyChavo97, ChavviChavo 97, Instagram and TikTok. And then if you want to follow, I actually just started it this year, a new page on Facebook. It's getting bigger by the day, actually, because people are like, I post every day on it. So it's like I send information of what to invest in or what I'm investing in, and people will follow. But if you want to follow it on Facebook, it's called The Wealth Chain. The Wealth Chain. So all my social media platforms are the same. TikTok and Instagram is where I usually do all of it. So
awesome.
Make sure, follow. Thank you guys for having me, and I hope you guys like the pod.
Cool. Appreciate you, dude.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.